Okay.
How we feeling? How we doing? How we looking?
What's up, people? How we feeling? Let us know who we're hanging out with today. It's a Sunday night. It's a chill stream. It's good to have you guys here hanging out with us. We see you in the chat. What's up, Master of Gaming? What's up, Brady? What's up, Ben? What's up, everybody in here? Why don't we quickly discuss this stream and like what we're going to accomplish on this stream. So every Sunday night we look at people's dynasty teams and we try and give them some advice, try and give them some direction, maybe some potential moves that they could make. And that's what we're doing tonight. We are looking at people's dynasty teams. And you might ask yourself, well, wait, how can I get my team on the stream then? Because that would be awesome. Well, it's actually quite simple. So you unlock this Discord channel called Roster Submissions when you sign up with our code LAND, LAND, at flockfantasy.com/land. I will put that link in the description. But when you sign up to the Mother Flocker tier, you unlock a Dynasty team grade for one of your teams.
That's right.
Not only do you unlock the Dynasty team grade, you unlock our rankings. You can see my rankings versus the rest of the experts on the site, versus the rest of the community, versus you guys. And Dynasty Superflex, one quarterback, rookies only, best ball, soon to be redraft. You can look at all of our articles. I dropped an article on rookie tight ends and their production recently. You can look at all of our bonus content, draft guides. And then also when you sign up with the Mother Flocker tier, you unlock something called the Fantasy Hotline, which is a direct line to Badake and myself where we can give you advice. We can talk through. Everyone gets one Dynasty team grade. And then when your team is graded, hey, just send us a message on the hotline and let's see what sort of moves that you can make or any sort of advice that you need. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Do us a massive favor, drop a like on the stream. But without further ado, I think we should get straight to it. Looking forward to Golf League. We are too. Jamar, what's up? C-Dub, what's up, Olaf?
How we feeling, y'all? How we feeling? Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. To anyone here that is a mother, or maybe a single dad, mom.
Mom and Happy
dad.
Mother's Day. I actually forgot it was Mother's Day. Is it Mother's Day? It's Mother's or Father's Day that's different in America. It's not the same time.
No, it's what's different in America is Father's Day.
Oh, okay.
Or here in Australia, it's, I guess, for us in our mind, because Father's Day is in June. In Australia, it's in September. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Shout out to all you guys and moms or girls and moms, boys and girls, men and women, everyone.
Everyone all around the world. What's up, Raj? Welcome. Raj, are you RAB? Is that you? Let us know if RAB is here. Moose, Blind. These are the teams that we're looking at grading at tonight. But let's have a look at the context. So Rab says, hey, Zach and Badake, appreciate the show. Been watching on YouTube for the past few years. Keep up the positive attitudes and great work to you and the rest of Flocker Nation. Appreciate that, man. Very, very kind of you.
Huge love.
He says, anyways, I've got a 12-team, one quarterback. Okay, one quarterback, no tight end premium, PPR Dynasty League. Start 9, 2 flex, no kicker. This will be our second season. Finished third last year. Trade away my first 2 startup picks. One was CMC at the end of the season, and the other was Barkley midway. Okay, so let's have a look at this team here. I put it into Keep Trade Cut Power Rankings. And who's this quarterback? Because that's going to make it easy for us to find. Is it Justin Fields?
It looks like it is.
Okay, so let's try and find. Okay, so he's number 2, it looks like.
Yeah.
Does he have Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, Bijan?
Justin Fields, Hendon Hooker. Let me see. Justin Fields, Bijan, Etienne.
He must have acquired Rodgers recently or something.
He's number 2 for sure. And this is a one quarterback start 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, yes, he is Rab. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Okay, awesome, man. Awesome. All right, well, let's
just before we start, these are how these team grades work. We look at your team, we look at the rest of your league, we take into the context your format, and then we'll look at areas of strengths, areas of weaknesses, players that are pillars, and then maybe a couple ideas. Now, every once in a while, there's a team that someone brings to us, and it's just completely stacked, and we're like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. There's not much that we can offer, but we always do our absolute best to try and give you guys some good advice moving forward. So he says, yeah, I just got Rodgers and sent Purdy and my 2026 first. Okay. Okay, so first question is, you're saying that you sent your 2026 first round pick and Purdy for Rodgers? Clarify that for us. Because I think Badake and I both probably wouldn't have done that move, but maybe there's some context we're missing. Let's start with the quarterback room, Badake.
Yeah, quarterback room at the moment feels really, really comfortable. I mean, Justin Fields with the rushing upside, and Aaron Rodgers. Let's see what he's going to do for the next couple of years. And I think you're fine, especially in a one quarterback league. You also have Matthew Stafford as well, if anything does happen, or if he's kind of taking off and kind of comes back the way he was, 2 years ago. So I think you're pretty well off right now in the quarterback room. I mean, I'm not sure if I would do anything personally. But I think this is so far, you have a young quarterback that you can grow with, and it also has rushing capability, and you have the vet that can fill in on a bye week just in case. So I think you're set right now in the quarterback room, I would say.
Yeah. And I would say if we did send Purdy and a first away for Rodgers, just to kind of say where we would stand on that, I would say for both Badake and myself, we wouldn't have done that deal.
Especially in the one quarterback league.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks aren't valued as high in this league, and maybe you're trying to compete and you wanted Aaron Rodgers.
So he says, I had the trade partners 2024 and 25 first, was trying to make his team worse. So then where is Purdy then? Where, like, look, here's what I would say. Still, regardless, I'm all for trying to make that teams worse, but
so he
still
did it to Proto Baggins. That's the team.
Yeah, so this team has CMC, Pacheco, Cook, Madison, A.J. Brown, Olave, Ridley. So I can definitely see in like a couple years how this team could potentially break down. But still, I don't think that's a move that you want to make. Like, I mean, I'm all for trading for Aaron Rodgers if the price makes sense. Even in a super flex league, but I don't think I would make that move. I like Aaron Rodgers. I am excited about his time in New York. He's definitely going to give you 2 years. But still, I don't think I would have, done that move personally, because you're giving up that first round pick. Who knows where that first round pick is for you? You're probably going to be competing. But even in a one quarterback format, you could have used that first round pick in a real area of need, maybe, or to improve a wide receiver room, or, so just firstly, obviously you can't get that back, but just in general, for people in one quarterback leagues, I would just say, like, the only reason I would send a first round pick away for a quarterback is if it's like the elite. But still, it's a good quarterback room. It's just, we might be playing too much chess there when we could have just played checkers, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. All right, in the running back room, Bijan, Travis Etienne, Brian Robinson, and then you got a couple of Deuce, Mike Davis, Dwayne McBride, Zeke.
Yeah.
Look, at the moment, it's not too bad. I mean, you have your 1-2 punch in Bijan and Travis. I'm not necessarily worried. I like Brian Robinson, especially with the depth there. There's not that much depth, so I feel like they might lean on B-Rob a lot. Other than that, I think I don't know if there's anything else I would do here. You're only starting 2 running backs.
I think quickly.
It's a depth I would want to add here.
Absolutely could improve the depth. I would have rather used that first round pick and improve my running back room. But here's what I'll say. You need to be really careful in trades, man, because you have Brian Robinson and Bijan Robinson. And that could get really confusing in trades. You want to be very, very careful that you don't send a counter or you don't send a trade out and it's B Robinson and you're thinking it's Brian. I know it sounds stupid, but you're probably not going to do it. But on the off chance that it happens, be very careful if you ever think about moving those 2 players, because we have seen really dumb things like that happen. We've seen it in our own leagues happen, where if someone's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to send that. It was the wrong person." So just be careful there. But yeah, love Bijan Robinson. Love Travis Etienne. I actually traded for Travis Etienne recently in a league, and Twitter is having a field day on, like, going back and forth on this trade that happened in our Echo League. Where is it here? So I've traded for Travis Etienne recently, and Travis Etienne I think is just getting a little bit too much disrespect at this very moment. So I think Bijan and Travis, that's an incredible 1-2. But Badake's right. Let's look at a little more depth. Brian Robinson's fine. You don't really want to rely on him. Zeke, we don't know if he's going to be on a team. He's worth holding. Deuce Vaughn, he's a fun, stash. Let's see. I like Dwayne McBride that you have him, because if So Alexander Madison is like the obvious buy right now, but he's so obvious that no one's selling Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
So the actual buys right now in the Minnesota backfield are Ty Chandler and Dwayne McBride. Because if Dalvin Cook leaves, you're not getting Alexander Madison, or people are going to ask some ridiculous first-round pick value for him. So I like the Dwayne McBride there. But let's look at getting some running back depth here in a second. So we've identified a need. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's continue and looking at what else he has so far. Wide receivers: Christian Watson, Scary Terry, Kadarius Toney, Keenan Allen, Jan Hyatt, Tyler Lockett, and then a bunch of them.
I like the Michael Wilson pick.
Yeah, Michael Wilson, Justin Ross, A.T. Perry, Charlie Jones, who I just bought as a taxi spot. So that's really decent. So, and in this league, this is a start. Once again, we always like to say we like to start wide receivers in the flex spot.
You can start
four wide receivers.
It's weird because you guys have a defense but no kicker.
Yeah, so it looks like you have your 4 starting wide receivers, and whichever way you want to put this: Christian Watson, Terry, Tony, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett.
So just to add something quickly, it's more a start 8 than it is a start 9. I know that you have the defense here, but that is contributing to the start 9 that he mentioned. I mean, you're not, you know what I mean? Like with defense, there is strategy, but it's not like it's IDP or anything. It's much more like a start 8 when you're looking at the positional players, right? 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that makes that's good information for us. And if your league doesn't have plans to change that, you should clarify. I mean, if you're the commissioner, you would know, but if you're not, like, message your commissioner. And what we do is we would never make a rule change except for like a year out. So right now we're probably going to add an extra flex spot to our follower leagues, but we can't do that right now because people have been planning around the construction that we currently have. So we're going to have to tell them a year from now, be ready. So just double check with your commissioner if any change like that's going to happen. Because if not, like, you very much want the quality over quantity deals in all of the trades that you're going to make, if it's only really a start 8.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the wide receivers are actually interesting. I think there's a couple moves that we can make in the wide receiver room. You know, obviously you're a competing team. You're currently ranked 2nd. Let me see, just players only. Players only, he's ranked 8th. So it looks a little bit different. So you definitely can compete, especially with Fields. I would say Bijan, Etienne, and I think the wide receivers are in question. Just depending on how you want to go. If you're really wanting to compete, because you did say you finished 3rd last season.
Yeah, this is a team that's probably going to over exceed expectations based on the players that it has with Fields, Bijan, Etienne. But the wide receiver room, Watson's someone that we love, but he would be a preferred wide receiver 3, I would say, on a win now team. Rather than a 1. I guess you could say Terry's the 1. And then if you want to look at Keenan Allen, like in the immediate future, he's probably going to score more points than, I guess, more points per game maybe than Watson. But it's a good room. It's certainly, like, this is again another reason why I wouldn't have sent a 1st-round pick away for a quarterback. I would have wanted to improve my wide receivers and running backs on this team. But yeah, any like we'll look at the weaknesses and give advice in a second. But do we want to move on to tight end, or unless you have anything else?
No, I think that's about it. That's it for the wide receiver room. And then obviously tight ends: Michael Mayer, Dalton, Brendan Strange. I mean, a guy that you brought the other day, in one of our videos. Look
at that, tight end 67, baby. We're holding on. I mean, look, yeah, I brought him as someone that you should stash, and I'm glad that you have him on your team. You guys should go watch that video. It's a taxi squad video. But go ahead, sorry.
No, and then that's about it. Michael Mayer, I like him coming in this year, getting some workload. And Dalton Schultz, that's going to be very interesting to see what he's going to do over there with CJ Stroud. So
yeah, in a non-tight end premium league, you're probably fine with what you have. Like I wouldn't force any trade. Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't force anything.
But yeah, Mayer's probably your guy for the future. Schultz probably steps in. Like, Schultz might lead this team in targets. Or he'll be in the conversation in Houston.
Definitely can be in the conversation. I think there's a lot of.
He might be a low-key buy.
He might be. He might be. So we got to see what happens.
Okay.
Um,
He's talked about all the first round picks that he has. So he has 1, 2,
he has
3,
424.
4
Yeah, he has
2024 firsts.
424 first, 2 seconds. He has 325 first and 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
that's great. That's great that we've compiled those picks. But again, still looking at those picks, I wouldn't have made that move for Aaron Rodgers. Like, just being candid, I wouldn't have sent even just a first round pick for Aaron Rodgers, let alone first and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's kind of like that wild card in a one quarterback where, hey, if he gets the job, like, this could be as valuable as Aaron Rodgers right now. So to send the first round pick, I understand the want to make this team, worse, but at the same time, sometimes we're playing too much chess, like I said, when checkers was probably the right move. Hey, just keep the first round pick. Because regardless, in 3 years from now, there's no question that first round pick is going to be worth more than Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers just wasn't a need. I would have rather used that pick on improving running backs and wide receivers. So,
I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I think my question is, to him, like, what direction do you want to take this team? Because if we're really going to go based off of these power rankings on Keep Trade Cut, let's remember, without the picks, you're ranked 8th.
yeah.
Which means you're in the second half of this league here. So, I mean, we can go either way, right? I mean, in my personal opinion, I would personally say build for the future because you have the
He wants to win every year, is what he's saying. Trading Fields at the end of the season, he wants to win every year.
Okay, so then you want to go all for it. Then if that's the case, then I would say let's start moving these picks or something.
Yeah, you can try. I mean, look. So, firstly, he said he's going to move Fields at the end of the season. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, I know you mentioned earlier you want to get Drake May and Caleb Williams. Well, even as good as those guys are, I don't think that they should be considered in the top 3 picks of a 2024 one quarterback mock draft. I mean, the quarterback position is just, it's so easily managed in a one quarterback league that we don't need to put all our eggs in a basket in these rookie quarterbacks. We really want to focus on the running backs, the wide receivers in our rookie drafts. If a quarterback falls to us, great, but you can find a starting quarterback and you can win a championship with a starting quarterback pretty easily in a one quarterback format. So my first bit of advice would be, don't have only eyes for Caleb Williams or Drake May next year, because you've already got that position looking pretty good.
And you have once again 3 or 424 first, and all of these guys, if you just look at the startups only, I think he has Ayukin, he has like the hidden pickle, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. Like, you have these guys, the Frodo Baggins, Green Acres. Okay, I mean, you have these teams that are in the bottom that potentially can be top 5, top 6 picks that you're going to get the talent.
Yeah.
So I think, maybe it's best to keep those picks.
Yeah. First bit of advice I would say is worry less about quarterback, just in general, because sending away a first round pick for a quarterback, that's got to be a star. Don't overthink it too much. We all do that. We all overthink, and then we're like, oh, but if I do this long term, and at the end of the day, sometimes we can think too much. But for this year, looking at a star 8, that's Fields, that's Bijan, Etienne, that's Watson, Terry, Allen, Tony. So really, I think the number one thing we should focus on right now is getting another wide receiver for our flex spot.
Yeah. Now the question is, who can he get if we're trying to compete now and win now? That means we either go for an older wide receiver that we feel really comfortable in, or we can go with a younger one but still pay the price.
This team number 12 here, I'd be really curious to see what they would want for Ayuk. You look at players only. This team 12 Ayukin is bottom of the ladder. If you include picks, they're still bottom of the ladder. They have Jalen Hurts. They have Mixon, Montgomery, Ayuk. I mean, look at the wide receiver room. Can they really look at themselves in the mirror and say that they're going to compete? If Ayukin is honest with himself, there's no way person's competing. Maybe Ayuk is a trade target here.
Maybe he is. I mean, yeah, maybe he is. Gosh, everyone, the people that were saying Ayuk and Brandon. Okay, I was thinking maybe like Deontay. I feel comfortable with Deontay.
Sure.
I'm thinking of someone like an Amari Cooper, off the top of my head.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find teams that could, like, are those players on teams that are not competing or
I'm just
don't
trying to
have
find
good
them,
teams?
I'm trying to find. Okay, so I found Amari Cooper in Team 9, El Chapo's crew.
Okay.
He has Amari Cooper.
Okay.
But I think that's a big pillar. Like even someone like a Brandon Cooks could be interesting. A low
Yeah.
buy low type guy.
I like Brandon Cooks as a buy.
Going straight into targets there. So I think Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks is a really good guy that you could plug into your flex spot. And Deontay Johnson also, yeah, actually he's in Steeler Nation Team 10. He has
And
Deontay
you're not
Johnson
getting him
and
off
George
of a guy
Pickens.
named Steeler Nation though.
Well, he has George Pickens.
Yeah, but still, if his
both.
name is Steeler Nation, you're not getting Deontay off him.
But yeah,
So let's talk about this potential with Cooks and Amari Cooper. Then, you know, the issue is looking at this guy's team. I think in his mind he's competing. He's got Swift, he's got Henry, he's got Barkley, he's good at quarterback, he's got a tight end. I think in his mind he's competing. Raj, maybe you can help us out. Who's a team that is clearly not competing? Because it looks like a lot of
everyone's competing here. I don't understand how Team 12, Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Monty.
I think they're just lying to themselves like this entire league and saying they're ready to compete.
The running back room is not amazing. The wide receiver room, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't understand some of these teams.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple targets. I would say Ayuk. I mean, the guy's team name is Ayuk, and so that might be hard, but there's no way, like, if this guy's honest with himself, there's just no way he's competing. The hidden pickle, again, has Pat Mahomes, Najee, Rachaad White, Tyreek, so he probably thinks he's competing. Most of these people are not going to be competing, and they probably think that they are. But let's throw some names out there that you could look at.
What about, like, I mean, another name that just came to me is Christian Kirk.
I like Kirk. Yep.
I'm not sure where he's at in this league. I'm just trying to find him right now.
Why don't we? How would you feel about this, Badake? That 2024 first with Ayuk, and I don't want to move, but I'm wondering.
Because he has what? You can throw.
That's a bad team. You want to keep that pick.
And then Green something.
Frodo's and Green Acres.
Green Acres top 4 right now in players only.
Yeah. I wonder if we can move that pick, that 24 first. He says B. Meyer is the one that's not competing.
B. Meyer.
Who's B. Meyer?
Who's that? What's
their team name? Injuries Team 12. What's their team name though, man? But maybe we can move that Green Acres pick and try and capitalize. Like, if you could, let me ask you this, Badake. If you could get, let's say, Brandon Ayuk and a Joe Mixon or a David Montgomery, would you send away that first round pick and just go all in with this team? Or is that not a move you'd want to make?
No, I wouldn't want. I wouldn't want to make this move, and purely because, like, I think he has all the picks for the. Like, I feel like if he holds on to those picks, he's competing next year. I don't think he's gonna. This is the hard part, because he said he wants to compete, right? I understand you want to compete, Raj, but in my opinion, I think you continue to compete as best as possible this year, but then you draft to compete for next year.
Yeah.
Right. And those rookies, like you said, you wanted to get Marvin Harrison Jr. You want to get Brock Bowers, sorry. And like whoever else is going to be coming in the running back room, right? What if, what if Brandon Allen is a top 6 pick in Dynasty rookie drafts, and you have that, and you're competing with Braylon Allen, Marvin Harrison, all those things. So like, I don't think I want to even send any of those picks, even if it's the high one, out. If I'm sending something out, it's probably going to be a second, just because I know I have all those all
So
those picks.
I hear you. The only reason I'm saying that is because you have Ayukin's pick, and what you were trying to do in 2026 makes a lot more sense now today to do that to Ayukin. You have his 2024 first, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
if you don't send him, like, keep that one. If you use, let's say, Akers 2021st, and you get a combination of Ayuk, Mixon, or Montgomery, I mean, maybe you can even find a way to swingle Jalen Hurts into it with Justin Fields into that deal. Then you make him automatically pretty much the 101. Like, no questions. We're not talking about 3 years from now. You're making his team weaker for sure straight away, and you're getting his first round pick. But he says he wants to keep the firsts, which I understand. I mean, look, just being 100% transparent, if you want to keep the first, there's not many moves that you can make.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then you have to move your seconds, which you said you had 2 seconds in 2024. So that's the reality. You got to look for seconds. You got to look for these low end people that maybe have higher upside.
Sure.
And the first person that comes to me is now Elijah Moore. What can you get for Elijah Moore? What can you get for I can't even think of who's another decent second round pick. I mean, can you get Treylon Burks for a second? I don't know. I mean,
I don't think so. Not if people view him like me, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. So if you can get somebody as low as that, that has a high upside, in that area that's still young. I mean, what's Christian Kirk worth right now? Is that worth? Can you throw both of your seconds, depending on where that's at Christian Kirk? Same thing with Calvin Ridley. Can you throw both of your seconds at Calvin Ridley? Those are the type of names I'm looking at if you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that those are good moves. Brandon Cooks was one that you mentioned, which I brought as a buy low. He's kind of like on the edge of a third and a second round pick right now. I mean, it doesn't look like you have many thirds, but could you even do a deal where like you send a late second, and get a third back? Whichever one of these seconds you project to be the latest, could you send that and then get a third back as well as Brandon Cooks in the deal? But yeah, I think like if you don't want to move your picks, which I definitely get it, then you're not going to have a bunch of flexibility here. As long as Bijan and Etienne stay healthy, you'll be fine at running back. At wide receiver, it's going to be up and down weeks for sure. You're going to have to hope that Tony hits. But if Tony doesn't hit, if Allen has some injury issues, then you might be really struggling in those 2 flex spots. So look, you don't have to make any move right now. You can head into the season with this current squad. You have enough starters at each position. It's just, will they stay healthy and will they produce the way that we think that they could? But yeah, I mean, this dude at Team 3 has Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor. He's got Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra. Like this dude's no joke either. But
yeah, it's tough. One thing I would say, because I know you have ETN, and I bought, a couple days ago in the video of the handcuff. What if you can at least acquire Tank Bigsby? Let's see what that looks like, just to have the backup, and to see if that makes you feel a little bit better with the depth. I don't want to play a pretty penny for him, but I'm pretty sure that person knows that you have ETN is probably going to want to roll you for that price. But if you can get him on the low, that'll be something interesting. I'll be happy to do.
Yeah. Here's what I would say overall. Someone took Bijan or Bigsby at the 109, so you're not getting him cheap.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I'll say overall. Like, you can absolutely go into the season with this team and just see how it plays out. And as the season plays out, typically in the season, let's say week 6 or 7, people are much more willing to kind of admit that their team is not competing. So that's kind of how the route I would play, because you said you want to keep your picks, which I understand. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You might have to roll with this team unless deals come here and there. And unfortunately, I don't think Tyler Lockett's really going to give you much trade value, so you might as well keep him and just use him as one of those flex options. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a very strong team. I would say don't focus on quarterback too much in a 1 quarterback league. You could have a Kirk Cousins and then a stacked roster and win a championship. It's just not something I would focus on. If deals come for running backs that are let me give you some running back names that I think you could go after.
That's exactly where I was gonna go. Well, you can go for it because you had a couple names in mind, but
Uh,
I do have a couple names in mind about some running backs, so you can send for your seconds if you
sure.
want.
I don't know that you could do this, but a Miles Sanders comes to mind for sure. A Rashad White.
Hmm.
I would say check the pulse on DeAndre Swift in your league. Joe Mixon for sure is undervalued at this moment. Even Dalvin Cook with your current team. Like if you could send a late second for Dalvin Cook, I would do that. I mean, a lot of uncertainty. He's going to be cut, but he's probably going to make a squad after that. Depending on where Rashawn Johnson went, I would try Rashawn Johnson. Those are some names that came to mind. I mean, I know Aaron Jones. You might say Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
Badake.
and yeah. Aaron Jones. I mean, I'm happy to take a chance on Alvin. He might be able. He might be even a third, depending on if he gets suspended. Yeah, you said Rashad White. What about a Damian Harris or a James Cook? I'm interested in
Damian
both
Harris
of
is
those
a good name.
guys.
Antonio Gibson is a fun, cheap name, I think.
Yeah, and you have Brian Robinson already, so I'm happy to kind of stack on that. I think those are some names in the running back room that makes me
Jerome
feel
Ford
really.
as well. Jerome Ford.
Mhm. That makes me feel really confident and comfortable just to have, once again, a little bit more running back depth. Hey, maybe Deuce has something like you kind of said. Dwayne McBride, his name might be called before the season, before the season ends, and maybe if Zeke does go to a team, maybe he goes back to the Cowboys and he gets, he's not going to do anything crazy, but at least he'd be a fill-in guy,
Yeah.
hypothetically for a bye week. You just never know. So right now, I think it's okay in the running back room to look at those guys. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's gonna. This team is again. You don't want to move the first, which I think is smart, and that's gonna limit you to, finding those values for sure.
Yeah, and
The Jerome Fords of the world, the Antonio Gibsons, the Brandon Cooks, those
yeah,
names, those guys who can produce for you right now. But again, you can walk into the season right now with this team. It's only a start 8, really, and
yeah,
field a team and then go from there.
exactly. And I think just from the wide receiver room, just to reiterate one more time before we move on to the next team, Elijah Moore feels really comfortable for me. Maybe even a Sky Moore, a Christian Kirk. Mind you, these are all for seconds. A Brandon Cooks, like I mentioned earlier. I don't know if you can get Amari Cooper for a second, but if you could throw once again both seconds at him, see what happens. Calvin Ridley, once again, throw both seconds. I'm trying to see who else. I mean, you can try Deontay. You can try Treylon Burks. You can try Hollywood Brown when Kyler comes back in the half part of the season. And Brandon Ayuk, kind of like what Zach was mentioning earlier. So those are some names that I would say try to acquire. Still low, still young guys that still have really decent upside in the pathway for workload in the future that I feel really comfortable with. Obviously, outside of Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
So
It's a good
keep that
team.
in mind.
It's a good team. You do not need to force anything. If you have any last minute questions for us, let us know.
She's trying to send it first for Cooks because I have McBride and he won't budge. Right.
Oh, as in for Dalvin? Well, firstly, don't do that trade. Don't do that trade.
It seems like a lot of your league really values all of these players still. I mean, I haven't heard not one trade you said that hasn't been for first.
Yeah.
And Dalvin is at the end of his leash here, at his end of his running back life, and you're still trying to send a first. That means people are probably valuing him super high
That's
right
a
now.
blessing in disguise that trade got declined. I mean, look, if people are not accepting first round picks for Dalvin Cook at this point, then your league trading might not be the way to go to build a team. It might be building through the draft like you've been doing. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, it's a great team, really good team, good foundation. I think the biggest bit of advice I would say is don't focus too much on the quarterbacks. We don't need to focus too much on the quarterbacks in this format.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you want to find that, like this time next year, I want, if Michael Mayer doesn't have an incredible rookie season, I want to improve at tight end. I want to get more depth at wide receiver and running back and just absolutely go for it. Like if that means not taking some of these rookies to just go all in, I would be willing to do that. But you know, that's still an entire year from now. But it's a good team. You can definitely compete. It's not tight end premium, so I mean, you're fine at that position. If everyone hits, you're probably competing this year. But there's a lot of good teams still. Like this guy here at Team 1 has got Lamar, Pollard, Miles, A-Chain, Wilson, Higgins, Metcalf, Addison, Kelsey. So you still got some competition there. But yeah, good team. Don't overthink it with this one.
Yeah, don't overthink it. But appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for
Yeah. And if deals come up, you know, if someone sends you like a first round pick for this player and you're just curious our thoughts, you can DM us on the fantasy hotline.
Yeah.
Okay, so next team we've got here is Moose. Says, hey guys, love the content. I'm in a 12 team full PPR super flex. This is an orphan league that I just got. I have a great chance to win if I can just get a couple more pieces to the puzzle. Thank you guys. Okay, so he sent us his actual league.
It doesn't have it, but I
hope this isn't like me joining the league.
No. On the link here, I'll just send you his ID because the link actually has a sleeper ID in it.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, so I just sent it to you on Messenger.
Okay.
So just copy that because I was trying to look for it a little bit earlier. But this helps.
Duffy OG says, for your information, if you go to the league tab and then scroll down to recent activity, filter by trades, league tab, the league tab,
league team or league overview.
Yeah, I wonder what he means by that. League tab. I mean, that feels like it would be over here, like league teams. Is that right?
Yeah, league tab and then filter to activity, he said. By trades and clicking on your team name, you can see only completed trades. You can choose any person to filter. Maybe league overview.
I might be missing it.
Anyway, that's cool though.
That is cool. We just need to figure out how to do it. We're like 80-year-olds trying to figure out an iPhone right here.
Yeah. All right. He says, hey guys, love the content. I'm in a 12 team full PPR. This is an orphan team that I just got. I have a great chance to win if I can just get a couple more pieces to the puzzle. Thanks, guys. So he has Josh Allen as his quarterback.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think you just sent me the league ID to our home league.
Wait, what?
The league ID you just sent me, it's my team is showing up here. Of course, at the top. You know how it is, y'all.
That's weird because I copied it from that link that he sent me. Okay, hold on.
Is that happening for you too, or is it just me?
No, actually, I'm just realizing now. Okay, so if I were to, hold on. Let me copy this link. Copy link.
I mean, it gives me a good chance to bloat about this team, but you know.
Let me try it again. Change league.
Might have to just use screenshots here.
Tight end only. I think this is. Oh no, this goes back to the old team. Might have to use screenshots here.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
I mean, what does this link bring us to?
I'm not sure.
It doesn't feel like it actually goes anywhere. Okay. Well, try and send your sleeper IDs if you can, guys, but we'll just do our best with what we have here. So, it's a Superflex 12-team full PPR league. So we've got Josh Allen and Daniel Jones as our quarterbacks. On the bench, looks like we don't really have much of note at the quarterback position. I mean, there's Zach Wilson, Kyle Trask. So, I mean, overall at the quarterback position, you're looking great. Of course, you'd prefer a better quarterback 3, but you're not going to sell Zach Wilson or Kyle Trask for literally anything right now, so you don't need to force it. He's also got Will Levis on his taxi, so that's good.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, like running back, quarterback room is fine, so keep that going. And I like Will Levis as maybe somebody that takes a step up in the second half of this season, so keep that in mind. Running back room looks like you have Nick Chubb, AJ Dillon. And then
that's a tough RB2.
Then it kind of falls off. I mean, then your next running back here is Zeke. So you don't. I think that's definitely probably one of your weakest points.
We didn't draft a running back in the rookie draft either.
Oh, did he do his rookies? Oh yeah, okay. I can see it now. Okay. All right. Well, then that's something we'll talk about. Wide receiver Chase, Devonta Smith, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, with who else on the bench here? You have Char, KJ, Zay Flowers, with Jalen Hyatt on your taxi. So decent wide receiver room. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can utilize one of those guys to get a running back here. And then the tight end room, we have TJ Hawkinson and then Irv Smith, I saw, which I'm pretty happy with so far. So
Same.
keep TJ, keep Irv, you're fine. All right. So the biggest thing here is the running back room.
Yeah, and I feel like if you were to roll this team out right now, this team could still compete. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the league ID, so we can't really check exactly what other teams look like. But I still think if you rolled this team out day one, this offseason, this team could still compete. So, this might be a scenario in which we're making some moves in season to kind of complement. I wonder how high you took Jalen Hyatt to complement Nick Chubb. But
looks like he might have had. This is a 12 team. I mean, unless Zay Flowers fell into the second. The way I'm seeing it, he probably took Zay, Will, and then he went Jalen in the third.
Luke in the fourth, yeah, maybe.
Luke in the fourth, and maybe he had 2/3. Yeah, that's what it is right there. It seems like. Anyways.
Okay, so Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, two incredible starters in the Superflex League. I mean, could you do better than Daniel Jones? Yes, but Daniel Jones is an incredible quarterback too. That's great. You're fine. Sign long term. Added Darren Waller. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. So at the quarterback spot, you're good. Will Levis is a wild card. Hey, if Will Levis starts to become, something towards the end of the season, that could give you a little, trade.
A little trade bait if you want
trade bait. I mean, between Jones and Levis, if Levis actually establishes himself, you can figure out a way to get a good running back in there. At the wide receiver spot, you're great. Chase, Smith, Cooper, Johnson. At the tight end spot, you're great as well with Hawkinson. And we still got Zay Flowers on the bench. I love that. Don't move Zay Flowers right now. No one on your bench really has any sort of trade value outside of Zay. So you're going to have to hold. The only, Badake, just being honest, the only moves I really think you could make to improve the running back position, which is why I'm hesitant to do it right here, right now, is using Jamar Chase to tear down or using Josh Allen to tear down. And both of those moves, we typically wouldn't suggest to move those players off your team.
Yeah, to move. And one thing I thought of was utilizing your second in 2024. But I don't think that's going to get you anyone good, right? I mean, I'm just trying to see what you could potentially get as a second value. Doesn't look like there's anyone, to be honest. Let's just say if it was an early second. I mean, according to Keep Trade Cut, if it was an early second, you can get a Monty. I don't know if I want to do that,
Yeah.
I'd rather keep it and then just, do that. Yeah, I don't want to tear down either. I want to keep Jamar Chase because, like, if that 24 first is a top 6 next year or even a top 8 next year, and it's one of those running backs, if you need a running back, then I'm happy to make that move. I'm happy to keep that. I mean, another thing I would say is that what he can do is move Deontay Johnson, and maybe pivot because you have Zay. Obviously, that's more of a future move. That's not something you're gonna do. That's gonna help your team compete.
But I think looking at market value right now, Deontay Johnson is not someone that you move. He's someone that you buy. So that's tough. I mean, he's like in Superflex, he's valued at like the 203. So. Again, looking at these players, no one's going to give you proper value for Deontay. Yeah, probably not for Amari. So really the pieces that you can actually move and get value from would be the quarterbacks, Chase and Smith. But I don't think we would advise, moving any of those players. So you might need to rock into the season with this team. And also, we can't see as much of his draft picks as we'd want to see. I wish I could see more. Unless that's literally the only picks he has, which I doubt it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, look, here's what I'll say. AJ Dillon is not an ideal RB2 at all.
Unless you have this weird thing about AJ Dillon, maybe you're an AJ Dillon believer. But I mean, I'm personally not. I don't know if Zach is on that
No,
or anything,
not
but
particularly.
yeah,
The only moves I could really think of is using Josh Allen and tearing down to like a Trevor Lawrence, tearing down to a Lamar Jackson, tearing down to a Justin Herbert or Justin Fields, and then trying to improve your running back room. Can I tear down and add a Josh Jacobs, a Tony Pollard, a Najee Harris, a Javonte Williams? Those are some ideas that I would pursue. A Travis Etienne. People are worried about Etienne. Could you tear down to a Deshaun Watson and get an even better running back? If you want to make moves before the season, those are a couple ideas that I would throw out. Alternatively, we can look at a similar idea here with the wide receiver room. Do you want to tear down from Jamar Chase to an Olave, to a Higgins? Do you want to tear down to a Tyreek and go all in, to a Stephon Diggs, tear down to an AJ Brown or a Waddle, a Amon-Ra St. Brown, Olave, like I said earlier, and then add one of those running backs that we mentioned? Because Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, these are both players that people in trades are getting multiple, like 3 first-round picks plus players. Yeah. So those are the only deals I would look at making right now if I had this team. I wouldn't, I feel like any other moves would just mess it up long term.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I would just say you probably best sold in. I don't want to move from Josh. I don't want to move from Chase. These are my pillar guys. Guys going to be in your team for the next 6+ years that we'll feel comfortable with, and I'd rather just wait and sit and get a running back later. Maybe you win somebody at the waiver wires. Maybe somebody steps up, right? Yeah. Maybe there's a Sean Tucker out there. Maybe pick him up just in case. Maybe there is somebody in that waiver wire room that can potentially step up. I mean, there's so many people that step up. You just got to find them. Maybe Jerome Ford is still out there. Make sure you scour the waiver wires, you use your fab, and hopefully Zeke does find the team. Because if he does find a team who's on your team right now, he can definitely be somebody. And he's not going to be somebody. I think he will feel a lot more comfortable starting than AJ Dillon, I would say, depending on the team that he goes to, right? So
maybe at this point in the offseason, with him still being a free agent, it's tough to see
doesn't feel
valuing him.
Doesn't feel too amazing.
As well, I think like Chark and Curtis Samuel are good values on your bench. Again, like the only players that you're going to get proper value for right now would be Allen, Chase, Smith, Hawkinson, and Jones. Outside of that, you don't have any names that are like, ooh, I want to sell this player right now because I feel like the value is inflated. I don't see that on this team. So yeah, you're going to have to probably go into the season with this team unless you do one of those tier down moves with an Allen, with a Daniel Jones, with a Jamar Chase to improve your running back room. But outside of that, there's limited moves that we can make, also without knowing the draft capital. I mean, right now we only see 2 picks, so.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say hold tight, and I think you're kind of in the right spot. Just got to wait for the right time to make a move. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a good team. Really good team. I mean, you're pretty much set. You can improve your flex long term. You can improve your running back too. But the foundations that you have are very, very solid. You've got your foundations at quarterback, at tight end, at Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith. So, yeah, you're doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Guys, if you're watching out there and you're asking, how can I, okay, this is cool, but how can I actually get a part of this? How can I get my team in the ring? Well, if you use our code LAND, LAND at flockfantasy.com/land, you're going to, if you choose the Mother Flocker tier right here, you'll see it come up. You're going to get 30% off, so this will bring it down to 97. You get a Dynasty team review from Badake and I on this live stream. You get access to the Fantasy Hotline where you can ask us questions in a DM. You get access to the Dynasty Trade Show, which happens every week, where you can have us look at your trades on a real video. You also get access to the entire Discord, biggest Discord in the entire world for fantasy and dynasty football. You get access to the rankings on the site, everyone's rankings. You get access to see what the community thinks versus all the experts. You get access to Superflex, one quarterback, best ball, soon to be redraft. You can see all the expert rankings. You can see, draft guides, databases, all of that and more. So if you do want us to grade your team, go ahead and use our code LAND when signing up. And we will be doing this, if you sign up right now, like this time next week, we're probably grading your team. Okay, so let's look at Blind's team. The Dynasty Den says, love these videos. Thanks, of course.
No.
Thanks for watching.
No worries, brother. Huge love.
Okay, so the next team here.
Yeah.
We have a sleeper ID.
Yeah, we do have a sleeper ID. And I'll go ahead and, as you said, I'll read it out. 12-team. Superflex PPR 1.5 tight end premium. Yo, Zach Badake, keep up the great work. Was wondering if I can get some tips on how to boost this team. Could use a little bit more depth or an upgrade at running back. Traded my 24 first and 24 second for the 106 that ended up being a Bryce.
Nice. Well done.
Okay, well, there you go. Sleeper ID, and then his team name is Toe Drag Swag, which is, if you look at players only, he is number 1.
So firstly, let's talk about the trade that he mentioned. He sent his 24 first and a second to get the 106, which ended up being Bryce Young in a Superflex league.
Which means that
well done.
Either Gibbs or JSN went earlier than expected potentially.
So he's got Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, Sam Howell, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill. Okay, so in a Superflex league, the names I think you should be selling, not now, but in season, Ryan Tannehill. I mean, can he, in the first couple weeks, be a top 15 quarterback? Sell him if he can. Jimmy Garoppolo, the starter. They didn't draft anyone. This team is not going to be in a position, I don't believe, next year to draft a top quarterback. So he has trade value. Really, what you want to keep is at least 3 of I wouldn't put Tannehill in there, but if you look at Jimmy G, Sam Howell, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, Jalen Hurts, let's keep Hurts, let's keep Young, and then between these 3, we only really need to keep one of these.
There's definitely
in season. Look at making moves. I mean, like for example, we have Mother's Milk here, who has Kenny Pickett, Jared Goff, and Zach Wilson. Absolutely, he's absolutely a target for us. We have Scooby Snacks, who has Trey Lance, Aaron Rodgers, Bailey Zappi. Easy, like we can sell quarterbacks.
There's a lot of teams here that you can sell to quarterbacks. I mean, Wyoming Warriors with Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis.
Yeah,
I mean that's
there's your Ryan Tannehill buyer maybe.
I mean, even J.H. Madison, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford is not the guy. He has Hendon Hooker as another quarterback. That's somebody you can sell to.
Yeah.
A lot of teams that you can sell to right now.
And I'm curious because it says Superflex, but it says 2 quarterbacks.
I think when it says Superflex 2 quarterbacks, that just means it's just like a normal setting. I think they just say that.
Okay.
Yeah. On Keep Trade Cut. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
I just looked at the starting lineup and it looks like a normal Superflex league. So
yeah. So yeah, I agree. In season, you can definitely, I would say, keep maybe one of these guys that probably does the best. Obviously, Jalen Hurts and Bryce Young are your future quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I think kind of what Zach was alluding to, and I kind of was zoning out when you were saying that. But for me, Mac Jones, Sam Howell, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, all 4 of those guys, depending on the time in the season, you can probably sell to one of these teams that really need a quarterback and see what you can get for either one of those guys.
No, that's right. So you're looking good at quarterback. I mean, you've only got 3 running backs on your team, though. That's very, very interesting strategy. Thank God Bijan didn't go to Detroit. Otherwise, you would just be looking at Detroit's backfield and Jerome Ford.
Funny.
We'll talk about running back in a second, but let's move to wide receivers. A very strong room. Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, JSN, Burks, Dotson, Mims. Really no obvious sells. These are all players that I want to keep. I want to keep Wilson. I want to keep Smith. I want to keep JSN and Burks, Dotson. So it's a very good young room. I think that's a very strong point of this team.
Yeah, it's a 5 wide receiver start as well with 3 wide receivers, 2 flex spots So I think you have your foundation there. Once again, Wilson, Devonta, Smith, Burks, Dotson all feel really comfortable. And I think it definitely does fall off with the depth, but these are names that we still kind of believe in. I mean, at least I would say, I'll speak for myself, and the Tank Dell coming in with that draft capital, Shakira in the slot there with Josh Allen. Now that it's a little bit more difficult with Dalton there. Alec Pierce, we'll see what happens with him. So definitely some good pieces here. Is he there?
I just muted myself. I agree. And in the tight end premium format, you're looking pretty good at tight end as well.
Andrews. Yeah, you still got Jake over there as well.
Yeah.
You're pretty
the only area of need for this team is running back. And let's look at the capital that we have. So we don't have our 24 first, but as we mentioned, we got Bryce Young with that. So you've got the pillars. You've got your pillars here. A Bijan as a pillar. These are all pillars. And again, Mark Andrews. So really, you've got an incredible team. Ideally, which is exactly what Jason said in the chat, ideally you move one of these quarterbacks for a running back. Okay.
Running back, exactly.
What is Sam Howell worth right now? I mean, it depends on the league, because honestly, I was trying to trade him in one of our rookie drafts and people weren't giving me good value. But in other leagues, we've had people who have given me early seconds. So I think it really depends on your league, but I'm just going to throw out some names that with Sam Howell, Mac Jones, Jimmy G, I want to look at some running backs that you could potentially move. Like, could you target a Miles Sanders with one of these names? Maybe not. That might be a little bit too rich.
I think
if you can, then definitely explore it.
Yeah.
But names that you could look at, like a Rashawn Johnson who just came in. You could look at like a Joe Mixon right now, a Kendre Miller. You could send Sam Howell away for, let's say, like an Aaron Jones at the moment. Those are some trades that you could look at. It could be any one of those 4 quarterbacks on your team. Jimmy G you could send away for a James Conner. That doesn't sound sexy at all. And yeah, I think Jimmy probably has more value in season, but Connor's going to be the guy until he gets injured. So, yeah, those are some names that come to mind for me.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Or you could go even cheaper and like, can you send one of your 3rd round picks away for like a Damian Harris?
That's exactly where I was going. Because I was thinking, okay, these quarterbacks, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, they're not going to have value right now. So even I'm happy with Monty to kind of ride me for the next 6 weeks. Pause. To kind of ride out for this team for the next 6 weeks, and I think that feels a little bit more comfortable. Because if the trend does happen to where like Monty is completely like done because Jahmyr Gibbs, which I doubt that happens, but like it's not, maybe doesn't live up to the expectations, then you can kind of sell one of these quarterbacks. But I was looking at a 3rd for the Damian Harris. I'm looking for I was even going even later. Let me just look it up here, because I was putting in the calculator just to see what Keep Trade Cut would recommend. But I'm looking at more of what about a Samaje P. Ryan?
Yeah,
right?
for a 3rd?
For a 3rd, that feels really comfortable. You can, I probably wouldn't do it for someone like a Chase Brown, because I think it's still too early, because he's a rookie. But what if that is like a Rashad Penny? If you like Rashad Penny, a Damian Harris. I feel like James Conner, maybe you can throw your 3rd and a 4th for James. I don't know. Keontae Ingram, a guy that you was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, who's probably going to get suspended. Somebody in our league traded him for a 3rd. Traded for Alvin Kamara for a 3rd round pick. Why don't you get someone like an Alexander Madison? That might be a little bit more difficult now with all those rumors. But if that does happen, if you can't pull it off, that might be worth it, right? I'm happy to go for a Brian Robinson personally. So those are some names that I'll be really happy with.
I'm looking at the guy who has Will Levis. Let's send him Ryan Tannehill, and let's try and get a Rashawn Johnson. I think that's a move that you could potentially make. Let's try and get a Rashawn Johnson for a Ryan Tannehill. Maybe you have to add a third or something, but I would be willing to do that just to add some depth to that squad. Other teams that need quarterbacks, Scooby Snacks, for example. Hey, Scooby Snacks, you got James Conner. You really don't need James Conner. I'll give you Ryan Tannehill. Give me James Conner. Both are on clear timelines where they could move. Team 3, Mother's Milk. Okay, well, it's gonna be a little more difficult because you've got Dobbins. But like, can I get a J.K. Dobbins? I'll send you Mac Jones. In, let's say, a second. Can you give me J.K. Dobbins? So those are the kind of moves I would start looking at, trying to negotiate. Looking at these teams that, again, like quarterbacks is a big issue for them. Can I get like a Tank Bigsby from Team 12? So those are some of the things that I would be looking at doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it just makes it more comfortable. I would say in this order, try to buy running backs with your third pick first. If it doesn't work out, okay, now let's move to your second, see what you can do there, and if maybe you can pull one off for a second. If not, then move to your quarterbacks. So use your quarterbacks as a last resort, I would say, until the season starts, because we have 4 or 5 months till the season starts, and then if somebody picks up steam, right? Okay, Jimmy G is really leading this, this backfield or this team, or Sam Howell is really feeling more comfortable. Their value rises, right? So
I think that's a two-sided coin, though. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, he lost a job, and Will Levis is a starter. You don't have any value with Ryan Tannehill anymore. I think there's two sides to that coin.
Something like that, I think I think with someone like Ryan Tannehill, I feel comfortable with, but someone like Jimmy G, I don't see him losing his job coming into the season. Sure. But yeah, I for sure, there's definitely a two-sided coin. Maybe Ryan Tannehill is the one guy you probably want to trade sooner rather than later because of Will Levis, but someone like a Sam Howell or Jimmy G, I feel comfortable waiting into the season because there's no other competition that, at least unless they make a wild trade that we're not expecting, right? Because there's no doubt they will be the starter, but I see the pathway for Will Levis maybe, picking up steam in training camp or something.
Yeah, sure. So that is probably it. I mean, look, dude, your team is stacked, honestly. Like, if anything, well done. You've built for the future. You probably can compete right now, given Mark Andrews and the tight end premium and Bijan being there. It's just finding the right time to add to your running back room. And you don't want to get rid of your first round picks, but you've already gotten rid of your 2024 first. So you don't want that first to be a high pick. You do not want to regret that. So don't be afraid to go all in with this current team. I think you can definitely compete here, given the quarterbacks and the tight ends and the wide receiver room strength. But I think that's probably the last team for today.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. And Ace, man, thank you so much for your super chat. We'll get to you in 1 second. But yeah, that's about it for.
We'll get to Ace's super chat here, but just quickly, if anyone does want to unlock this roster submissions tab, you get one of your Dynasty teams graded. Make sure you use our code LAND when signing up to the Mother Flocker tier. Okay, sign up to our the Mother Flocker tier with our code LAND. You unlock the entire Discord, which includes the roster submissions, the Dynasty trades, the fantasy hotline. You get all of our rankings from everyone on the site, everyone's articles. You can submit community rankings, you can submit community articles, draft guides, everything is on there. So DM us when you sign up. We'd be happy to have a look at getting you your perks. But why don't we reply to this super chat, and then we might call it a day.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for the super chat, Ace. He says, pick 2 Superflex Dynasty, Golf, Lance, Cousins, Pickett. I think those are 2 different questions, or 2 different answers. I feel like if you want to go, I think it's even, number one. But what I will say is that I feel like Cousins.
I think I thought the way I read this was we're picking 2 of these 4 quarterbacks, which would be Goff and Lance for me.
Okay, so the way I saw it is like Golf, Lance, or Cousin Pickett. That's how I saw it. Like pick either one, right? So pick 2. So that's how I understood it. But correct us if we're wrong. But yeah, if we're only going to pick one of the 2, I'm picking Golf and Lance. I'm really believing in Jared Goff this year. Lance is definitely a risk, but if he does get the starting job, that is fantastic. And Kirk Cousins might be done after this year. for this team. So
maybe.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think I'm going Golf Lance. If it's just pick out of the 4, yeah, it would be Golf Lance for me.
Oh, if we're picking out of the 4, then I'll go Golf Pickett.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick 2, well, if I pick 2, it's Golf Pickett. So sorry, that's confusing.
No, that's okay. Thanks for the super chat, man. Really appreciate you. I think that's it for today, guys. Again, you guys know how to get your team graded now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Say Happy Mother's Day to your mother. Make sure she feels loved and supported.
To your mother figure. It's all love. It's all love.
I don't know that Lance plays with the Niners. I can't tell you yes or no. I think if anyone is saying that they know the answer to that, they're just lying to themselves. I don't even think that Kyle Shanahan knows the answer to that yet. What I will say is if you look historically at quarterbacks picked in the top 3 rounds, they get a lot more opportunities than what Trey Lance has had. So if it's not with the Niners, it will be with a different team. I'm not ready to give up on him so young. But, yeah, that's it for today. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Drop a like on your way out. And we will be live tomorrow with a real Dynasty rookie draft. So
that's right.
We'll see you guys then.